The Yorknew City arc is easily the best arc in Hunter x Hunter and one of the greatest in all of anime and manga for several reasons. Let's begin. The first element that makes this arc so great is the protagonist, Kurapika. He's a much more serious character than Gon or Killua, so having him as the protagonist separated from the others allows for the story to be more serious and mature. This reduces the amount of silliness that would have been present if Gon was the protagonist, and allows for the tone to really sink in. Kurapika's goal of revenge also makes this arc shine. Revenge stories are so universally relatable and easy to get invested in, and this arc takes full advantage of that. The Phantom Troop that was mentioned in the first arc is finally close by and Kurapika is going after them. That already gives the arc an engaging premise. Also, because he is much farther ahead in his Nen mastery, we as the audience get to learn so much about Nen as a power system, including type mastery, limits, and specialization. The theme is the second element. The message of this arc is that pursuing revenge will only bring Kurapika emptiness and potentially death. This can be seen executed several times, but mostly through melody. Whenever Kurapika starts getting angry, she can hear a dark tune coming from him, and she believes that it will lead him down a dark road. When Uvogin first shows up and Kurapika is losing his temper, she is forced to use her Nen to calm him down. When Kurapika and Gon were chasing the spiders, he's about to make the mistake of fighting. Killua had to be the one to cover for him in this situation. There are more examples, but several times throughout the arc, his lust for revenge has led to him almost making bad decisions. The nail in the coffin is when the spiders fake their deaths. After this, Kurapika became so empty, and this was basically a display of what would happen if he kept seeking revenge. He would be left with emptiness. This is a great theme that was executed very well. The third element is the complex plot. In another video, I talked about how effective formulas were. In all of the formulas that I mentioned, the arcs were very similar and simple, yet effective. Yorknew City is the opposite of that, yet still equally effective. Like some other manga, there is no formula for Hunter x Hunter's arcs. But on top of that, this arc cannot easily be simplified. The Chimera Ant Arc can be split up into 3 sections. Gon and Killua training with Kite, Gon and Killua training with the other hunters, and the attack on the castle. The same can be said about Yorknew. There are so many different perspectives and events going on. Kurapika and the bodyguards, Gon and his friends, and the spiders are the 3 main perspectives that are used. They all start off separate with their own plots, but slowly interact and join as one as the story moves forward, which is so entertaining to watch. The plot has so many different events going on. Kurapika becomes a bodyguard, Gon's side is making money through arm wrestling. The auction takes place and the spiders kill everyone, but the items are gone. The spiders fight the phantom beasts, but Kurapika and the bodyguards show up and capture Uvogin. Meanwhile, Gon and his group begin hunting the troop after the bounties placed on the spiders. They also learn appraising. Assassins, including the Zoldycks, are hired to kill the troop. Gon and Killua get captured by the spiders. Krollo steals the fortune-telling Nen ability. The spiders rampage on the city, and finally, the group of main characters get together to make one last attempt at attacking the spiders. There are so many initially disconnected events that end up blending perfectly together. Gon's desire for money ends up leading him to the spiders, even though his story was initially separate from Kurapika's. Even the appraising ends up being of use later in the arc. One thing that this arc does that many battle manga struggle with is having a varied selection of events in one arc. Battle manga frequently rely on fighting as the main event happening, and very little outside of that occurs. But this arc had several different events: arm wrestling, appraising, bounty hunting, bodyguarding, trailing, and even bargaining. This arc actually barely relies on action, but I'll tackle that later. What's fascinating is how all of these different events manage to be very engaging, despite not being action-oriented. The fourth element is the danger of the spiders. The arc does an amazing job at selling their threat level. The story hyped them up in the first arc, so they had to meet our expectations, and they did. They can wipe out a bunch of nameless grunts, but they even kill somewhat capable characters. The bodyguards during the auction were Nen users, yet they were dispatched with ease. The phantom beasts were hyped up, yet Uvogin killed 4 of them alone, and the rest were killed off screen by other spiders. Uvo threatening the lives of his captors was another display of the group's danger. When Gon and Killua got captured the first time, the gap between them and the spiders was enormous. Gon couldn't even move for a full second, and Killua surrendered very quickly. At the hideout, they continued to show their skill and power gap. And finally, when the duo gets captured a second time, the spiders get caught off guard, but are still able to respond and keep the kids captured. They are faster, stronger, and more skilled than most of the main characters, and this really amplifies the danger that this arc sells. Kurapika killing Uvo with ease does decrease the danger of the spiders, but he's incredibly powerful in his own right, as Krollo's prophecy said that in 2 weeks, he'd kill 5 more spiders after Uvo if they stayed. The fifth element is the epic moments. While I have my problems with the balancing and creativity of certain moves, the action is still visually engaging and filled with spectacle. Uvo vs the Beasts, Kurapika vs Uvo, and the Zoldyx vs Krollo are some of the best examples. There is also a lot of smart strategy used throughout the arc that is so exciting to watch. Kurapika and the Hunter solving the bodyguard test, Leorio's arm wrestling scheme, Uvo's tactics against the Beasts and Kurapika, Sepal appraising, Gon and Killua escaping Nobunaga, Krollo stealing Neon's ability, Hisoka's fake fortune, and the plan to capture Krollo are my favorite examples. What is very surprising about the action is how small the amount of big battles are. There is one real battle that is fought to completion, which is Kurapika vs Uvo. Uvo vs the Beasts was a wash. The Zoldyx vs Krollo was interrupted, and outside of that, all of the other fights are a few blows exchanged, like Gon and Killua vs the Spiders. The arc even passed on a Hisoka vs Krollo fight, which would have definitely increased this arc's greatness. Yet the arc doesn't really suffer from this. The drought in the battles allows for the plot to take focus, which is what allowed for the third element to exist, which I think is the strongest element. In conclusion, having Kurapika as the protagonist, the great theme, the complex and layered plot, the danger of the spiders, and the epic and exciting moments are what make this arc one of anime and manga's greatest arcs. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and check out my manga for free online. If you enjoy my content, please consider donating to my Patreon. All important links will be in the description.